like, no. Fuck that.
Yeah, Dan's
Okay,
told me,
we are live, guys. Keep going. We're live with.
yeah, so Dan's told me about the ghost. He's like, yeah, you should try this workout. And I'm like, nope. Not only does it sound terrible, I've seen you do it. I'm like, I have no desire to do it.
It looks terrible.
Yeah.
So we have John Michael Bianco here and Daniel Thiessen. Dan Thiessen.
That's my mom's way of calling my name.
Good. When you're in shit, we'll say Daniel. And Nick Karadza. And before we get into Nick's performance on this CrossFit workout, because multiple people tell me it's really good, we're here to talk about John Michael and JM. Give us like the update. Where are you at in your boxing career at this point? Just give us like the quiz for someone who's just hearing you for the first time. Give us a snapshot. By the way, I was just giving you props. Do you see his tracksuit? No, that tracksuit's really nice.
Yeah.
The track pants, the tracksuit. He's got the gold chain on, the shirt underneath.
He does. You definitely look like a boxer.
Yeah, no. And if you're walking down, I feel like
some diamonds maybe on the cross somewhere. Maybe.
I feel like he could be in a Guy Ritchie movie. You know those Guy Ritchie movies where they got some like gangsters coming down the alley and stuff. I feel like he can. It's kind of
because you got the diamond up there.
Maybe a little one of those little hats. One of those little kind of hats on. Maybe
he wears the earring with the cross that hangs too. That's pretty sick.
Yeah. So give us the update. Where are you at in your boxing career?
I've been pro for about not even a year actually. We went pro last year March, and 5 fights in, 5-0, 2 knockouts, we're just kind of just rolling with the punches right now. Like we got some big fights planned, this year. Potentially, a title fight, a minor title at some point. But that's kind of where we're at.
And how did you get to the point of turning pro? You've been boxing how long?
So I've been boxing for 12 years exactly. Started back in 2011. Had my first amateur fight in 2012. And then I competed as an amateur through 2012 to technically 2020, just before COVID. And then we were all kind of just, I was on the national team. And then we were just kind of waiting to get sent to the qualifiers in Argentina. But obviously COVID happened and everybody, not just myself, but everybody in the world pretty much had like a huge setback. And we had a pretty long off season, almost for like 2 years. And then at that point, we just decided to go pro because, things were kind of working out in our favor.
That sucks.
Yeah. They were kind of messing around with the national team too.
How do you get on the national team? There's tryouts somewhere, like you literally just box each other as in a tournament to qualify for the national team?
Yeah, basically. Well, so you kind of have to work your way up. Obviously, you have to have like a certain amount of fights. So as an amateur, you have... I think from like 0 to 12 now, you're pretty much called like a novice fighter. So you can fight guys within that range. After 12 fights, you're considered open. All right. So you can pretty much, your 13th fight, you can fight somebody who's had like 100 fights. Right. So then you go to these tournaments, like they usually host them once a year. We have, which is called our provincials, Golden Gloves. So you'd have to go compete. Sometimes you might be fighting 3 or 4 guys, depending on how big the tournament is. Usually what they do is they select the 2 top guys or girls from that category, and they send them off to nationals, wherever it may be held. I think the last couple of years that I did it, like it was held in Alberta and then like BC. But the last one that I won was the Olympic trials. So basically they sent the 2 best boxers from each province. And we pretty much, then they'll have like a national tournament. And usually, you'll be fighting probably 3 to 4 times, depending on your weight class.
And how long do you fight? In how many days?
So usually nationals would be over the stretch of a week, like usually like 5 days. Provincials 4, 3, depending.
Yeah, he's got to make weight for each fight too. So
and then you got
to stay on weight the whole time.
And what's your weight class?
In the amateurs, I fought at 178.
What do you walk around at?
Right now, probably like 183 max.
So pretty close then.
You have to as an amateur. As a pro, he fights at 168. So he makes that cut.
Yeah, and I still walk around the same.
He doesn't get really too heavy, which has been, I think, a part of the success at a early stage of his career, not making huge weight. Some guys make stupid weight cuts, but he's always on. Like, it's never a stress. We know he's dialed in. He makes his water cut. We do the water load, water drop, and then weigh-in day, he's cool, calm, collected. It's nice to see.
But with nationals, so you won nationals at that time?
Yeah, so I won the last nationals it's not the last one that we had, but the last one for that Olympic circuit, which was which is in 2019, and then I was on the national team from there, and then from there, pretty much everybody on the team it was selected to go down to the Continentals, which is the Olympic qualifiers at that time.
What do you have to win the Continentals to qualify for the Olympics?
I think it's depending on your weight class, it could be like the top 3 or top 4. In my weight class, light heavyweight, it was the top 4 spots would get sent to the Olympics because they would have like 16 different fighters in every weight class.
So you think you would have made it?
I honestly thought I would have made it, man, to be honest.
So you didn't get a chance at the Olympics.
So, but I don't know. Right now, it's just like, it's just kind of up in the air, and it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. I don't think I'll ever get over it.
It is what it is. We get to bitch and complain about COVID decisions.
I know. How did you start? Brutal, but it's also like any of these Olympic sports, it's super political and it's nonsense. Like there's so much nonsense. Tell them how many amateur fights you had.
I had about 70 amateur fights.
Wow. No way.
A lot of work right there.
What?
Yeah. People don't realize people ask me too, like, how many fights has JM had? Oh, he's 5-0. And they look at me like, well, that's not, and I'm like, he had 70 amateur fights. Like this dude is What
was your record out of 70?
I had a little bit over 50 wins, but I had exactly 16 losses. Like I remember my losses, but my wins, I know it was like somewhere over 50.
Why? Because they bother you, those losses?
Some of them do, but not all of them. But that's what kind of makes you a better fighter. That's how you grow, right?
So did you ever walk up, I guess, and say, holy shit, like that guy's a monster, or I'm scared of this guy, or is it just you just cannot have that mentality?
No, I don't think I ever really had that mentality. I mean, I think I had maybe 1 or 2 fights that I got like beat. Like I know, like I actually got beat. I didn't really question it, but I never really was like, oh, this guy's gonna destroy me. Like I never thought like that.
How did you get into boxing?
Judges can be like, it can be super like out of left field. You're like, how did this guy come up with this scorecard? Like, it's unbelievably.
How did you get started in boxing?
So I got started.
Were you beat up as a kid?
Not really. Well, actually, another reason that's I didn't get beat up, but but one of the main reasons why is because my family on my mom's side, I had 3 of my uncles that boxed, and obviously it's kind of been like in my life for like a long time.
Cool.
But I didn't get started till I was like about like 17, 18. Like actually in a gym, but I knew how to throw like a jab across and whatnot, and they all boxed for a long time, so it's kind of been around, the family for.
It sounds like you did get into some kind of scraps though as a kid.
Not really. I was kind of a good kid. But another reason why I wanted to get into it is because I felt like growing up, maybe this was just in my head at the time, but I thought it was kind of soft, so I kind of wanted to have like some kind of street cred or some kind of cred to make it seem that like I ain't just this nice kid. Like
what's the difference between amateur and pro? So amateur has headgear.
Yeah.
What are the other main differences? So you take the headgear off, and what else?
So the amount of rounds. The biggest difference is obviously the gloves.
They're smaller in pro.
Yeah. So in pro, they pretty much like you have for us we have 10-ounce gloves, and they pretty much they're pretty like small, to be honest. Like if I were to show you guys, like it's pretty like flat, like across your whole hand pretty much. But in the amateurs, they have these really big gloves, all the weights at the front. Yeah, and it's like this like maybe like 3 inches of like padding.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should feel the pro gloves. Well, like before the fights, we'll like work them in. There's not like you're like when this guy gets hit, he's gonna feel this.
So then, why do you wrap your hands as well? You wrap your hands for greater impact behind the glove, or to protect your hand,
just protect
or a bit
your
of
hands.
both. It's just to protect
because
your
you can break your hands 100%.
And is that you wrap them so much with the tape that it's almost like a kind of it's like a cast.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And your wrist too.
Yeah.
You don't want your wrist doing any of this.
Oh yeah.
Because it takes forever to heal those wrists when they get.
I feel like you're a genuine Rocky story, because I feel like going to the gym, Radix, where I first crossed paths with you.
Yeah.
There would be like an HVAC van parked out because you're doing HVAC stuff.
Yeah.
And then I go into the gym and there's this like animal training at a pace that I couldn't train at. Even though when I first crossed paths with him, I said a joke. He didn't really know me. I'm like, hey, listen, if you really want to train, let me be your kind of like training partner, because if you can keep pace with me, it means you're really good. And he looked at me and he kind of had a little googly eye moment. And I thought he was going to be like,
should I hit him with my left or right?
I'm going to smash this guy right now. Like, what's this guy challenging me to? This old slow guy's challenging me to some guy.
Yeah.
But then we got to know each other. It was all.
Yeah, it was good. It was good after that. Yeah.
After
Oh, hey, I was this close, man. I was this close.
I know you're just trying to figure me out. I'm like, he's like, who is this guy?
He's like, Jam's like the nicest dude ever, but he's got this switch when it comes.
You could totally see it in his eyes. You could see it in his eyes.
Even me, like, I did some like conditioning workouts with him, and he'll look at me like, yeah, between rounds, and he'll pick up the pace, and I'm like, okay, like it's on, you know.
Yeah.
He's very competitive.
Yeah, you put in the work. I think that's what people don't see with fighting. I guess, there's the regular, boxing work as well, but then everything for conditioning, and it plays such a big role. And I don't know how I've never seen you train in a boxing gym, but I just know the way you work for conditioning in the gym is like, it's pretty intense. I don't think at least in your pro fights, I don't know how it was before, but since I've seen you train, I think anyone you're fighting probably doesn't have the conditioning you have. That the fight that I saw, the guy didn't for sure.
Yeah, no, not even close. I mean, we train pretty hard. I mean, even just the Ghost alone is a pretty crazy workout. But I just feel like a few years ago I kind of went through like a threshold, and sometimes like just mentally you just gotta get past it. And once you just kind of get past it and you're at that threshold, and you kind of just keep on training at that, like you eventually like you'll kind of just. You just get used to the suck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You have to put yourself in a dark place though sometimes to be able to keep going at that pace. That's the thing that's tough, right?
Yeah. Those fifth and sixth rounds. And
explain the Ghost just so anyone listening, so they know what you're talking about, which is one of the worst workouts, or I don't know if it's the worst, but I've seen you do a lot of bad things, but this one is bad.
Yeah. We used the Echo bike for that one. It was originally designed by CrossFit for, Roberto Guerrero, and his nickname was the Ghost. That's why they call it the Ghost. So it's 1 minute of it. Originally was rowing cows, but we switched it to the Echo bike to make it worse.
So it's like an assault bike.
Yeah, like
your hands are moving and your feet.
But the Echo bike's worse than the assault bike. So we just try to make it as bad as possible. So we do 1 minute max cows, and then he goes into 1 minute of max burpees, and then into 1 minute of max double unders. Then he rests for a minute. So 3 minutes on, 1 minute off, just like a boxing fight. And then we do as many rounds as he's fighting. So now we're doing 6 rounds of it. We start off with 4 and we're at 6. When he switches over to 8 round fights, we'll do 8 rounds of it. If he fights for a belt, we might be doing a lot more.
So if he's fighting for 6, is it wise to then do 8 rounds so he has more?
Your body, we do work in longer time domains, but your body adapts to specific times, specific ways of training. So what's the point of having more energy for 7, 8 if there's no 7 and 8? Right, we want him to be peaked out for 6
so your
hard
body's
rounds.
learning to spread its energy over that time frame.
Yeah, so we want to make it as specific as possible. That's why we're working in the 3 minute on, 1 minute off. There's no 7th or 8th round. So if he starts to get in the mentality of like, okay, during the Ghost, during the 5th and 6th round, this is where I'm going to kind of make sure that I'm kind of hovering at a pace that I can hit 7 and 8 hard, then in the fight it's useless. There's no 7 and 8 in that fight, right? So he needs to learn. This is like the way we approach it now is the same way we approach the fight. Is in the first round he finds his pace. In the first round, if you come out swinging, trying to take somebody's head off, you're going to get a huge adrenaline rush and a dump, and then he's going to look like crap coming in the back.
That would be me.
Corner. So this last fight, he came back to the corner. He stood the whole time, didn't even sit on the stool. You know what it's like being in the other side of that, and you sit down and you're breathing hard, and the other dude's just sitting there looking at you like, wait till I get back out there. Yeah, and he didn't sit on the second round either.
Oh, sure.
Or the third.
But do you want him to
maybe
sit?
the third?
Like, do you want him to try to calm down so that he's not too amped up?
He wasn't. He was cool. Like he uses his jab, establishes the range, lands what he can land. If there's something that's open, he'll take it. If not, we got 6 rounds of work.
There's no benefit to sitting. Like for you, if you sit, you don't feel like your heart rate comes down a little bit more or something. You're just like, it's the same. If you're not tired, it's the same thing too.
No, not really. Unless I'm like really tired or really need to sit, then I'll sit. But no, I mean, sometimes it's better to stand up because you're not kind of just, sitting down. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like when you get back up, you get a bit of a head rush.
Yeah. You get out of the zone a bit, even if it's in a short period of time, if you sit down.
And there's the rounds. Like, again, the more of a war he's in, the more he'll need to come back, sit down, and regroup. But like, he at no point during the last fight or any of fights have I seen him being like, having to take huge breaths or anything. He's just calm and collected. Sean's screaming away. It's like me and Sean are the yin and the yang in the corner. Sean is
his
head coach.
Boxing head coach. Out of where?
Mississauga.
Yeah. And then how did you guys cross? And what's the name of that gym? Sorry.
A Grindhouse.
Grindhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is that in Mississauga roughly?
It's a Queensway and Dixie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So
like where we grew up.
Sean actually coached me boxing back in the day at Combat Arts. He was the head boxing guy at Combat Arts there. And so we've had a pretty tight relationship for a long time. So we've worked as a duo with a lot of national champion amateur boxers over the years. And then so when he started working with John Michael and needed a strength and conditioning coach, he reached out to me, and me and JM hit it off really well.
And then John Michael, what's your, like, and when you're training for a fight, what's your week look like? What kind of training schedule do you keep?
I guess like it really depends, but usually we'll do like I'll see Dan like usually like Tuesdays and Fridays like morning, usually pretty early before I am going to work, like 5:30 ish. But usually I'll have like boxing like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even like Thursday, and then I have like some sparring like here and there. It really depends, obviously depending on my work schedule and other things that are going on.
Because you're working full time while you're doing this.
Basically, yeah.
And finding good sparring partners. So like if you find a good sparring partner, then we kind of work around that as well, because it's hard to find good guys to get good training with. So if somebody like he's been working with Steve Rolls, who's really good. If you find a guy like that and he's got a schedule, then you just work.
So he's good because just some guys are just a good sparring partner because they like, this guy's like a good fighter or is he
a good boxer?
Okay.
Yeah. He's like a higher caliber pro. So it around here, you got guys who are either journeymen or amateurs, and then you can get good, good volume work, but then you want the good technical work where you're like, this guy's going to make you think, he's going to make you work. He's not going to let you hit him for no reason, So how hard do you guys go, like on a scale of 1 to 10 when you guys are sparring? Like on average, I know sometimes it'll be harder than others, but on average, is it like a 5? You're kind of in the middle? Like
I think it depends what you're trying to really work on.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could depend on different days. Like sometimes like the first, like if I'm doing 6, maybe the first 4 rounds, I'm just kind of like going like 50, 60%. And then I need to, eventually the 5, 6, then I'll step it up. But it depends. I think closer to the fight, I usually start picking up my sparring. Instead of like working on stuff, I just try to work on my output and just kind of put everything together. I mean, it's kind of hard to say if I'm going 100% because sometimes I feel like I'm not, but at the same time, like you don't want to knock out your sparring partner.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So, and sometimes even if you want to go 100%, you might just be, might just throw something, you might be swinging for the fences, and then you get hit with something you don't see, and could be it's not good for you, right?
Yeah. There must be some. I mean, I know like the good fighters that know they're good and they're successful. There's no ego in a boxing gym, but there must be some guys that want to prove a point. So they're like, oh, so James has some success. So when you walk in the gym, or anyone else, doesn't have to be you kind of get sized up a bit. Is that like
it's happened in the past? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if I had guys come in, so I wasn't at the gym at this time, but a few years ago, Sock was telling me how some guy came to the gym. I don't know who he was, but he came to the gym when I wasn't there, and he was like looking for me. And I don't know what his name is. He still never came back. I think he ended up sparring with some kids that day, but I don't know who this guy was. But he just kind of came in the gym, asked me one day, and then took off and never saw him again.
It's a small circle, so like he'll see a lot of the same guys, and you won't run into those issues. If you start, like if he went to Montreal and hit up a couple different gyms, then you're gonna get a lot.
Because Montreal has a bigger boxing scene.
Not only that, is like you're coming from Ontario and it's like then it's more of a little bit of a turf war type mentality, but around here, like everybody on the local scene kind of knows each other, and you have to have that respect, because if you want to have sparring partners in the long run, you got to respect each other.
So that's why when the fights that I've seen, there's like either a guy from out of country or a guy from like the East Coast will come in or something like that. So it's not, or you'll be flying out someplace.
Yeah.
So it's because if it's all on the local scene, I'm sure there's some rivalries too. But
there is one guy who's calling your name on the local scene. Right?
Yeah.
There's one guy, he fought in the amateurs. He's a pro now as well, and he got interviewed after his last fight. And after you win a fight, you got that,
all amped up.
And then he started calling JM's name like Canadian belt. And I'm like, man, this is a mistake.
How the last fight? How long ago did you guys fight?
Oh man, the problem probably 2019.
Okay, so a lot's changed
twice,
for both of you guys since then. But what was the result then?
Oh, I won both fights.
Both. You fought twice.
Yeah.
So when you had that a lot of amateur fights, was there a moment that you knew you were going to turn professional?
Oh yeah.
What was that moment?
A long time ago. I would say probably after maybe 14, 15 fights.
Why?
Back in
what went through your head that you were like, I'm going to turn pro?
I just thought I was good enough at that point. Where I was starting to get good, I could start to see my potential, and I was like, man, why not do this for money, right?
What do you think is good about you? Is it your reach, your mental toughness? What do you think is good?
I think it's my resilience more than anything. Just to keep going and keep grinding. I think that makes a difference between myself and a lot of other fighters. I mean,
keep grinding in the fight or in training, all of it.
Well, both, all of it.
And where does that come from?
I don't know. Just I think I was kind of born with it. I guess, right? Because I mean, sometimes it's a mental thing, right? More than anything. Obviously, I love boxing and I love to do it. I don't like training a lot, but you just gotta do it and you gotta grind it out, right? You just gotta.
He has
has to suck.
Yeah, he also has a unique ability to control his emotion, and it's hard to put. I've worked with a lot of boxers in the past who are also super talented on all kinds of levels in box for a long time, and come fight night and stuff, you could see how much the nerves played on them, how much it drained their energy. I've never seen it with him. He's just cool, calm, collected the whole time, and not not overly amped or going into flight mode where you're I want to get the hell out of here. He's in that perfect kind of 5 range of being amped enough. Last time there was he'll bring the speaker into the warm-up room and play the music he likes and create a vibe. And he just looks I'm born to do this.
Wow.
And it's not overly amped where you're oh man, he's going to come out so hot in the first round and then die. And it's not he's backing away from what's happening. He's just in the moment.
So what are the coaches doing during that when he's in that kind of before the fight and he's in that mode?
Me and Sean are laughing.
Shut your mouth and
No, we're me and Sean are enjoying ourselves.
Oh yeah.
we make fun of other we'll see fighters pass by oh that guy got the crap kicked out. We'll just enjoy ourselves in the back. But he's in his zone. He's got his headphones on, and then when it's time to hit pads and Sean puts on the pads, Sean's probably one of the best pad holders around.
Why?
He's just I don't know. He's done it for so long. He's quick. He's on the ball. He speaks faster than anybody I know. It's just it's just happening. He's just really good with it.
His shoulders must hurt, man. Holding those pads over that long, your shoulders must start killing you by the end.
I think so. Yeah.
He's just I don't know. I have nothing but respect for Sean.
I remember, this is going to sound weird, but I remember when Ronda Rousey was in the UFC and everybody was touting her. And then I remember Mike Tyson and someone else went to go watch her train. And then that next fight she lost, she got destroyed. And everyone went back to the person holding the pads. And they said, if you watch that, the way they were holding the pads, I guess they weren't moving them right. And she was just hitting the pads. So there's a skill to moving the pads to make it properly.
For sure. And then also you want to be mimicking just muscle memory of how you're going to approach the fight. So it's not just, you're not just randomly hitting combos.
So the right combo.
Yeah, it's how is he approaching this fight? How is he approaching the first round? What has he been working on? And you put that into motion and you get the body prep for that. So he'll skip, he'll stretch out, then it's pad work about a minute on, minute off. He gets a little bit of a glow going on with some sweat. So he's ready to go, and then all the gear's on, and then they call you out to the staging area, and the announcer does his
so that's behind the curtain or whatever. Okay.
And then whatever song he picked for that particular outfit he's wearing will come on, and his entrance will start to happen. And that's when you start to see
fast.
him. You start to see him start to jump around. You're okay,
And we have to stop here because this is a very important point that I mentioned to you earlier. Because my wife said, "Hey, I know nothing about boxing, but let him know that his gear or his whatever, the shorts and she's those are on point at all times." Because the last one, no, it wasn't the last one. This was 2 fights ago, probably, especially the Santa one, the fur line, fur line Santa one. She's like, who wouldn't like that?
The crowd started cheering "Kill him, Santa" at one point.
Describe what you were wearing.
So basically, I was wearing. so I was wearing like red velvet with like the lining, not the lining, but with the trim was I think it was pretty much like white fur.
Yeah.
And then I had trim on
your
my
shorts too,
as
right?
well. Yeah.
The white fur trim on your shorts too.
The white fur, white fur trim on
Red
my
velvet.
shorts.
It was right before Christmas. Like, was it December or something?
Who's making those?
My aunt actually. She actually lives in Buffalo, and she is a stylist, and she makes she does a few other fighters out there as well. But
you are standing out with your what you're wearing.
It's amazing. It's
it's great.
It's a combination of like feeling good about how you look and marketing and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but it gets the crowd behind you too, because they're like, who is this guy? Like, how can you not get behind this guy?
Yeah.
Right?
So when you're getting ready in that staging area or whatever you called it, what's going through your mind right when you're about to go into the ring?
Man, like, to be honest, like not too much, man. Like, I try to have like a clear mind before I go in, but like it just happens so fast. It's like one moment you're just like, you're getting changed, and then boom, you're doing pads, and then all of a sudden you're like walking towards the ring. I think the toughest part is just like the walk before you come out, because then you're just like, I guess you're in your head like a little bit, right?
So you're in the moment. Once it begins, you're just going through the motions. You're in the moment. There's not much thinking.
Yeah, there's not much thinking. Yeah. I just try to focus on like what's going on. Like now, okay, like I'm gonna walk towards the ring. Okay, now I'm in the ring. Okay, like there's my opponent. Okay, we're gonna touch gloves, and then and
in the fight during a round, what's going through your head?
Nothing, man. It's just I'm just going. Like
you're just reacting, trying to put your pressure where you want to put your pressure, reacting to what's happening.
Yeah.
In between rounds, do you hear your coach as well?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well, you'll hear what Sean has to say.
Sean, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And you can adapt to what he's saying in between rounds?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you hear the crowd in between rounds?
Yeah, like I'll hear like certain things, like some people might call out some things and whatnot, but I don't know. Sometimes you just pick up on.
I remember we got a chance to go see you in Hamilton, and in between rounds, like people are screaming your name and cheering, and I'm always wondering, like, is he hearing the support? But he's probably not hearing it, but the support's there because it was cool to hear. Like people are screaming at you in support of you.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he's so focused.
There's always that like random drunk ex-boxer who's yelling some random.
I heard those, especially at that Hamilton location. By the way, it was great, but the crowd there, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I thought Nick and I had to watch our backs a little. I was like, man, I was glad we were there with you and a big table of us, because I'm looking around and it felt like there was all different boxing gyms there. And I swear at one point I'm like, a chair is about to go flying in this place and it's going to be mayhem. Dude, I was scanning the exits.
You think Hamilton's bad? Go to Sydney, Nova Scotia, where it's like a combination of Hamilton and living in the middle of nowhere. I saw a lady get mad at a dude, pick her chair up, WWE style, and start swinging it at his head.
No way.
Yeah, this is after my fight, but it was wild, man. Yeah.
I was going to say, there's got to be fights sometimes, and then you just answered that.
Oh yeah, it's like a lot of times it's the women, man.
Yeah, it is.
Like in Hamilton, like a girl versus girl fight broke out by the bar, and one of your first fights. And then this lady with the chair, I'm like, geez, man, don't mess with
you. Could just feel the energy in there. You could feel there's different people scoping each other out. And, sometimes my friends will laugh because I always wear a gold chain. You're wearing a gold chain. Nick's wearing a gold chain. You have a chain.
I have a chain.
You have a chain on. And usually you don't see people wearing...
Tom just sized up everyone, whether or not they're wearing a gold chain.
Right when he walked in. That's a nice gold chain. But usually I'm not in environments where people are wearing gold chains. When we went to go see you fight, everybody was wearing a gold chain.
And not one. Like,
what is this crowd? Who are these people?
Yeah. And last one sold out.
Yeah, the last one sold out. Yeah.
And there was more gold chains than I ever seen before.
Yeah. It's more like a social event too, right? You go there, you dress up nice, you hang out with your friends, have drinks, whatever.
Yeah.
Watch people fight each other.
Last time we were smart, there's a big lineup to get into the parking lot, the underground parking lot. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait in line. Our accountant's close to there. So we'll just park in the parking lot that we always park in by the accountant, 1 block away. No big deal. And now I know, but no one was parked there. I'm like, this is weird. Come back at whatever time. It wasn't super late. It was like 10:30, and my window smashed in my car. I'm like, now I know why people don't park here at night. During the daytime, that park is packed.
Yeah.
At night, there was no one there. I'm like, this is unusual. Now I get it.
And the car next to us also had its window smashed.
Oh my God.
What is there a moment in your amateur or pro career now that you're most proud of, that you look back and you're like, damn, that was like a bit of a turning point. I'm really kind of proud I got through that?
I know it is already.
Well, definitely. Or wait. Well, what is it?
If I had to say, it's the fight with the dude from Montreal.
Yeah. As a
that
pro,
dude talked so much crap.
Yeah.
And got knocked out.
Yeah, man. So
when was that one?
So yeah, I guess as a pro moment, but this was I don't know if you guys came, no, maybe not, but this is back in August. It was my third pro fight. He was 4-0. I don't know how many knockouts, and I was 2-0 with one knockout. But yeah, it was just kind of unnecessary. So the day before, like we had like media weigh-ins. So they're not real weigh-ins, but obviously, It just kind of looks good. I think only the main event guys were weighing in, so they wanted us to come in, have a bit of a show and whatnot. So he was kind of sizing me up that day. And then, whatever, we ended up going back to the hotel, resting up. And then the following morning, we went to go do the actual weigh-ins, right? Because in Ontario, you have to weigh in like the day of. So we went to the actual weigh-ins. He weighed in on weight. I weighed in on weight. And then we just did like a quick little face-off. But he was just like, he got right, as soon as it came, like we stood like face to face, he just came right up to my face. Like his nose was touching my nose. He was like, "Oh, I'll see you tonight." I don't know what he was saying. He speaks French, but I know he was talking a lot of crap.
Yeah. Was he doing that, you think, to psych himself up?
I think so. I think so. Because I was just kind of smiling and like, all right, we'll see tonight.
And
man.
What was the result of that fight?
I knocked him out in 2 minutes.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. It was a nasty knockout.
Yeah.
Like
I think I remember you sent a text that it was a nasty knockout.
Dude,
okay.
This guy, I couldn't believe it. Not only that is like these guys weighed in, and I'm like trying to get a picture, post on some social media stuff while he's weighing in. This guy's cornerman comes in, like tries to push me out of the way, like I can't take a picture, and I'm like, yo, these guys are crazy. Like they were so, I don't know, it was way like they were so intense, and then what he brought to the ring was so garbage. Like he just got dummy.
Yeah, I got annihilated.
I have that photo that I have that I'm gonna post in the gym of you walking away and he's laying on the ground is one of the great.
Oh, it's great.
I think I've seen that one. It's a cool one.
I don't know how you do this, man.
Yeah, I don't know how you.
I'd get in that ring. I'd already be terrified. The guy would swing at me once. I get hit. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go into the corner now and curl up into a ball.
That's the fight you wore the leopard print one, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So he had
gladiator.
He had this like gladiator outfit with leopard print, and he came out to Welcome to the Jungle. It was amazing.
Who comes up with the idea?
I guess a little bit of me, but mostly my aunt. She just got like even my last outfit, like the gold, red, and blue. Like I told her, I'm like, make whatever you want to make.
Yeah, it looked like it looked like royalty.
Yeah,
that's what he looked like.
Yeah,
it's like the king is coming.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
So now you fought. The last fight was somebody in the top 100. How does this work? You fought someone in the top ranked?
So BoxRec.
Okay.
BoxRec ranks the boxers globally.
Yeah,
and that's how you can move your way up the standings and give yourself a better shot at title shots. Or
so it's one company that ranks everyone.
Yeah, it's like a website. Yeah.
So then each fight they're looking for just to kind of bring the level of who he's facing up and up and up, and it brings his ranking every fight.
So that's not your job. So you sign with a promoter and then they find you the fight? Right.
Well, also I have a manager as well. His name's Gary Freeman.
Okay.
And he's
you guys should get Gary on the pod.
Yeah.
That's a character right there.
He's been around for a long time, but I ended up signing a contract with him, but 3 Lions, which was a promotional company, they were interested in signing me. So then, I signed with Gary, and pretty much what a manager's job is to do is pretty much take care of the fighter, where the promoter usually takes care of the event, right? So they'll try to get guys, whatever. But we usually it's good to have a manager so we can analyze our opponent, right? Because sometimes you might just get the promoter throwing in whoever and thinking, oh, this is a good fight for you, maybe a good step up, whatever the case is, but then you might not end up performing that well, and this guy could be the next big thing, and nobody knows that, right? So it's kind of good to have to do some background research and to kind of have a team to kind of help you do that, right? Because you want to, especially at this stage, you want to kind of have to build up to those bigger fights.
So they'll talk to. So how does that work? So Gary talks to the promoter.
Yeah.
And then, or not even. I mean, they decide when. So Gary's looking for what he thinks might be a good fight, and then they approach that fighter or manager or whatever, and say, hey, what do you think? And then they figure out if they think it's a good fight for them, and then you guys kind of figure out and then what? And then so if the two managers talk and they're like, this makes sense, then they go to the promoter and say, hey, this is what we want to do.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Then we'll figure out how many rounds we're doing, what's the weight we're fighting at, the purse, and all that kind of stuff.
If there's if you're gonna lose money if you don't make weight, like all the stuff,
all the details. So these promotions run Canada or North America. You sign on to different promotions, and there's different.
There's definitely a whole bunch of promotions.
Okay.
In Canada alone, I believe there's quite a few. There's been a few that's been popping up. In Ontario, maybe like 6, 7. Off Canada, maybe 10.
And you're with a promotion for a length of time or a number of fights?
Length of time and a number of fights.
So both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
is boxing growing again? It feels like for a while boxing was kind of like it just went down a little bit, but it feels like there's a little bit of momentum behind it again.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Actually, I got asked that question the other day, and I feel like it is like growing again. Like I feel like there was a time where it was kind of just like dead. I guess like in, I don't know, maybe like when UFC started to take off, like in the mid 2000s.
And the boxing champions at that time, who was the champion for a long time? Was it Klitschko?
It was Klitschko. Yeah. Like during that period.
And he was just kind of, exactly. Just boring. No personality behind it. So there was it was hard to get the hype,
Like, I don't know, man. Like, how do you replicate a Mike Tyson?
No.
Yeah.
He had everything.
But
the
power, Tyson Fury and the White, those fights, when
those helped.
Yeah. Tyson Fury again, like it's a combination of like, you need to be really good at what you're doing, but you also need to be really good at like the media side of things. Like those lines from Mike Tyson will last forever. They're like legendary, like this guy's like talking about how he broke his back in the middle of the ring. Like it just it's so good. Now
and listen, he bit Holyfield's ear off. Like who doesn't want to watch the next fight after someone does that?
Yeah, and he also said some stuff that's like totally out there, like I'll eat your babies, like those kind of.
I forgot about that.
Like he was out there.
Yeah. But at that time, it was like De La Hoya was fighting. Like when I was watching boxing, there was a bunch of those guys.
There were superstars.
Even recently, like Mayweather, I know it was just basically an exhibition fight, but with Mayweather and McGregor when they fought, like that was huge because he had two big personalities.
Yeah, and that's probably, if not the highest grossing fight ever. Yeah. Like people will pay to watch.
Yeah, and McGregor couldn't. I mean, he can't hold it with him. Do you know what I mean? Even though he's younger, whatever. But people are still paying to watch because of the personality side of it.
Yeah. McGregor was like the Mayweather of the UFC kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like with Mayweather, whether you loved or hated him, it didn't matter because you're going to pay to watch.
Yeah, because if you hated him, you wanted to watch him lose.
Yeah, exactly.
So smart. So JM, when you see someone like Tyson Fury, what makes him great? His offense or his defense? Like what makes someone like that great?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I would even say just like outside of the ring too, like his charisma. It's obviously some of the battles like he's probably been through and whatnot. But I would say a little bit of everything, a little bit of defense, offense. Man, I don't know. I feel like just like you'll get to a certain point, I feel like, where everyone's kind of just like roughly the same, but this guy has something else that these other guys don't have, right? It could just be, like resilience, or it could just be stamina, or it just could be, whatever the case may be.
One variable.
Like maybe just like a crazy, like an insane chin, right? That kind of just, makes that guy like way better.
Remember when he got knocked out? Who was it knocked him out? Deontay Wilder. Yeah. Deontay Wilder knocked him out. And it was looked vicious. He's flat on the canvas. Yeah. And then he opens his eyes like the Undertaker in WWE. He stands back up. So he's a resilient guy.
Yeah. They said that Jesus brought him back to life.
Is that what he said?
That's what they say.
Oh, that's what they say.
Yeah. But because Wilder ain't no joke. Like he was knocking out everybody at that point.
Yeah, he's knocked out everybody he's fought. Except for Fury.
Fury is. You look at him and you underestimate how athletic that is.
Because he does not look athletic.
He is unbelievably athletic. He moves like speed and his feet, his footwork. Like he's just a tubby big man, but he's athletic. And on top of that, he's like 6'9" with the crazy reach. So he uses it all to his advantage. It's cool to watch.
If there is someone listening to this who's young and is like, I want to just protect myself because they're getting into fights, what's the best thing for them to learn? Is it defense, like how to avoid punches more so than offense?
I would say so. I mean, defense is really important, man. Because when you start making if you're like fighting, right, as an amateur, like if you make guys miss, you can make them really frustrated. and you can send up like a
and they get tired
counter. Yeah, they get
because I feel like when I'm watching Tyson Fury, that's what he's doing. He's making people just constantly miss.
Yeah. Have you ever thrown a punch as hard as you can and miss somebody?
Yeah.
It also hurts. Like your elbow, everything is like that is not right.
If you're really swinging for the fences,
somebody and you make them miss, it hurts.
Yeah.
So I think it's also just if you're talking about straight up like street fighting, it's probably a good way to keep your head, in a good place.
Yeah.
This is it's a tough thing because as a fighter, there are some purses and stuff, but there's a lot of expenses involved in all the coaches and everything. It's a tough. It's tough. So like when you're working full time and you're trying to train and all that, those things combined, it makes for a busy time.
Dedicated. This camp, there was one day he came in and he's like, "Oh man, my back is like super sore," and I'm like, "All right," like I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, "All right, what like was it?" Was it doing the explosive stuff? Was it spark? Like what? He's like, no, I was doing this HVAC job, and I was stuck in this position for like 8 hours, and I couldn't get.
My back was like bent over, and
I'm like, oh geez.
What is it? Are you residential HVAC or commercial?
Yeah, all residential.
So he was lifting a furnace.
Yeah,
he was like lifting.
Man, every day.
What took JM down? Man, it was this furnace that he was getting from the truck. Just took him out.
Yeah, I was like, oh shoot.
Where do you work? Is it like Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington?
Actually, I worked right over here at Atlas Care.
Oh,
it's
you're
right around the corner.
So it's funny. Someone who doesn't know is going to have JM, this professional boxer in their house talking about fixing their furnace with them. Yeah, what a world. So at that point, I guess that's where you're saying if boxing it hopefully gets a little more popular. So there's a little bit more money flowing through this.
Yeah, just sports in Canada sometimes it's tough. Like even the amateur scene compared to the US. And I know there's a bigger population there, so it's harder. It would be harder, obviously, to win nationals in the US with that many people versus Canada and stuff. But it's just the support and the facilities and the funding for it. It's just there's just more things available.
Yeah, no, way more things. I don't know. I think it needs to change. There's just not like a lot of funding. Even when I was on the national team, like I think you would technically only get an allowance if you're staying there, and it's not much, man. Like it's barely just to make ends meet, and you still have to pay for like a lot of your flights. Like if you're fighting, for example, like we went to Hungary 2020 just before COVID hit, and it was my first fight on the national team. It was a tournament that we did. And I can't remember how much I paid, but I think it was like $2,500, and I literally had to come out of my own pocket. Yeah, just for one tournament, right? We had to pay for the hotel, food, like literally everything. The only thing that they did is like just book everything for us, right?
Yeah, and if you're you'd think if you're on the national team representing the country and you've made it to that point, there should be some funding for that, just kind of to make it work.
I feel like there's enough tax dollars going somewhere. I don't know where they're going,
but it's not going into our
No. And then, so what about nutrition? You're young, so do you have to pay attention to that, Dan? Do you help out with that at all?
He doesn't have to. He stays pretty close, and he's been doing it for so long that he understands what he has to eat. Sometimes I feel like he undereats a bit. But it was that was also around the time he was moving. He was moving houses. I'm like, have you eaten? I'm like, no, I haven't eaten yet today. I'm like, dude, you got to eat, man. But he knows what he needs to eat. And then we use stuff like he uses the Element electrolytes every day, stuff like that to keep him hydrated properly.
What's cool is you'll come in, I guess your wife boxes as well.
Yeah,
because she'll come in sometimes and do the sessions with you. And I see you guys working out together sometimes. And I'm like, that's cool, man, because she obviously supports what you're doing if she's into it like that.
She'll do the whole workout too.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. She does the ghost.
The whole ghost, 6 rounds.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Jim, where did you grow up? Mississauga?
Mississauga. Yeah.
What are your friends saying about you?
No, they've always known, like I've always kind of been in it. I mean, they kind of know me for that now because they've known me for so long. I've been doing it for so long, but they love it, man. They always support it.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Ascension in Malton.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Small world, man.
Yeah, small world. Yeah,
we went to Pocock in Mississauga, but it was in Etobicoke at that time.
When you went,
You went, that's right. Yeah. You went to the Mississauga location.
Yeah, you're an old guy.
I'm an old guy.
Don't forget.
That high school was wild at the time.
Yeah, because wasn't there a rule because you guys weren't in the area, they couldn't send the kids home or something?
They shipped us to Etobicoke, because we had outgrew the Mississauga location while they were building the new location, and then we all figured out, uniform, you didn't have to wear it because they couldn't send you home because they had to put you on a bus to get back to Mississauga. So then the school it was that slow creep where people didn't wear uniforms, and before you know it, like the hallways are crazy. Somebody I knew stole a car from a police officer's driveway, drove it right into the calf, like through the window, drove it right into the calf. The school just started, there was like different illegal things that were stolen being sold in the school, in the middle of the school. Like every high school has that kind of stuff, but this was just like over the top. There was fights breaking out. It was just it was mayhem. Looking back, that high school was complete mayhem.
Yeah.
But it taught you how to be, because if you couldn't fight, you had to be witty. Like if you couldn't handle yourself or make friends quickly, you were going to get into a fight. Yeah. So that environment really kind of taught you some street smarts, because there was a lot of shit going on. Yeah. So you had to make multiple groups of friends. It was, it got political sometimes. It was fun. I loved it. I learned so much from the characters.
Yeah. That's how you develop in life.
Yeah. So how does someone who's young and starting then get into boxing? They show up at one of these boxing gyms and start training. And what age would that be?
So I started a little bit later, like 17, 18. I think like if I were to have kids, or if I knew somebody who had young kids and wanted to get into it, I think 12 is kind of a good age. At the same time, you don't want to be taking too much damage early on, because there's some guys that obviously they'll be fighting since they're like 5, 6, 7, 8, but the time they get to like 21, 22, they're done, right? They can't like
punch drunk.
They're punch drunk. Yeah, and I've known like quite a few guys like that.
Sorry, what's punch drunk?
Punch drunk is basically
they've had concussions.
Like a bunch of concussions. You're talking. You're mumbling, mumbling all the time.
You know when fighters get like that.
Yeah, you can't put sentences together properly.
It's like there's something always in their mouth.
Yeah,
isn't that? With all the kind of information now about concussions and does that type of stuff work? Like there's got to be some concern there, some way, shape, or form. But it's just like, hey, this is what I like to do. I mean, there's all of us have some things that we're like, I know that there's some things I do aren't bad for me, but I've decided I'm going to do it anyways. So aren't good for me.
Well, I think the sport has changed. I think obviously, like I think way back in the day it used to be like 15 rounds. Now we're doing 12 rounds, and a lot of fighters are fighting a lot less often than they used to. I'm pretty sure we used to wear not me anyway, but gloves used to be like made out of horsehair versus like padding. So I think the sport has come a long way, but I still think it has some ways to go. But as a concussion base, actually Shar, my osteopath, she actually takes care of a lot of that stuff. So she does a lot of like neurological training and whatnot. And she has a huge thing with like concussions, and she has like a whole type of like protocols and whatnot. So like I think stuff like that is definitely like very necessary in the sport. But a lot of people are still kind of against it. Like some people are just very old school. They just want to hit the bag. Don't even have like a conditioning trainer. Mm-hmm. Like they just, hit the road, hit the bag, spar, and that's it. But
so then what does your team look like? So Dan's for conditioning. Shar is an osteopath.
Yeah.
Sean is your head coach.
Yeah.
Who else do you see like on a regular basis?
My coach Glenn, he's like my cut man.
Okay.
Why not? Yeah, but
so that's another coach.
But another coach. Yeah,
he'll wear like the body pad and let him like just really rip.
Yeah,
he's a big burly dude.
And then he acts as the cut man as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
So there's 4 people that you see regularly.
Exactly. Yeah, regularly. Yeah.
It takes a team. Right? Like
I think to do it.
Well, if you're going to dial it, if you're going to dial it in and really do it, it does for sure. Because everyone's got different specialties and stuff. You can't be the jack of all trades.
And he does I think he's way ahead of the game with the neural training too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the boxers think it's like,
this is like a proactive type of training.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Like she has the whole setup.
Is that where you see lights on the wall and in your eye?
Yeah.
And she'll even put like these goggles. I tried it one time. I felt handicapped. Like she put the goggles on and it will like cut off one eye vision, and she'll have 2 sticks and you gotta like, she'll drop it, you gotta grab it, but you can't really see out of that peripheral because they cut off the side, and it's like all these like reaction.
And that's to stimulate different areas of your brain, I guess.
Exactly.
To strengthen them.
Yeah. So it's like, see, that's the thing. Like guys don't really think it's like, it's a waste of time, but it does make a difference when you're in that ring and you're just seeing things like a split second earlier. It makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. Because even I think lately, like this camp, like I've been getting a lot of compliments. But like, look at my face. Like it's been 5 fights and I haven't really like been touched, right?
Compliments on what?
Just like my defense, seeing stuff, setting stuff up. Like
you made
just little things.
You made this guy miss like looks stupid.
So when you have a fight that doesn't go long, do you learn, do you walk away from that and go, oh damn, like I wish it went a few rounds so I could learn and have more time in the ring? Does that go through? It does, right?
Absolutely.
That fight,
Because you've trained the whole training camp, and so there is an element to that.
the fight with the French guy.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, it would have been nice to like beat him up for a round and then knock him out, you know?
But sometimes you like, I remember with him, like I threw like an overhand right, I missed, I went under, and then I came up and my head was still down, and he had his two hands on like my head, so I knew his face was open, so I just threw like a quick like check hook, and then as I was looking down, I noticed his legs wobbled, and I just kind of just went at the guy and I put him out like real quick. Like sometimes when you have those opportunities, you don't want to kind of waste them, because it might bite you in the ass, later on in the fight.
Yeah, you waste your energy.
So you were down, so you were bent over a bit. He had both hands on your head, so then you kind of came around and up and gave a quick little hook.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it was like a flurry of overhand uppercut left. Like this guy ate like 6 punches after
going.
that.
When
and you just saw his knees bend a little bit. That's what
when I hit him, my eye, I was like looking down and I can notice his legs wobble. So I knew like, okay, like I'm gonna try to pull this guy out.
That's the blood in the water.
And then what if you went too fast there? Like, do you run the risk if you go too hard there and you can't get him?
Oh yeah,
you got to back off, right?
Yeah.
Because then you got to save your gas tank too.
Yeah, I think that happened in our first fight when I put the guy down. I threw like probably 20 punches. He went down, but I was just like, holy. Like I'm tired, man. Like
gassed out.
Just when you, it's so different when you give that 110% effort into something. Like your gas tank can really hit it, and it takes a bit to get that back up.
And then when you see someone go down, what is the emotional response? Like, how's the adrenaline hitting you? Like, is it 3 seconds after you know you've won? A minute? Like, what is that?
His coach is already screaming.
Like, what is that? Is that a blur? Like, how is it when you know you've won? What's happening?
Well, usually when someone goes down, like you don't know if they're gonna get back up, right? So I kind of just turn to the corner, look at my coach, look back at the guy, kind of get an idea of what's going on. If he gets up, I'm like, okay, like I'm back into this, but I don't get too excited. I just try to stay as calm as I can.
Pretty calm, man.
Yeah, he's super calm.
Is it
me and Sean, so there's always a Boxing Ontario representative that comes out with the whole crew. So he kind of watches us on the where we sit between the rounds. And after you knock that guy down, me and Sean were like on the ring. He's like grabbing us, like get off the but we were like
not supposed to be on the ring.
No, we're not supposed to be in that. So we were losing it. I knew he was out. That guy was like laying on the ground half dead. But you were just like waiting, and then after you jumped on the side of the ring and the crowd.
Is it a sense of relief once you've won?
Yeah, for sure it is, man. Because all that hard work is
your
just,
friends are there.
Yeah, and you just kind of just just be laid back and just chill out. It's pretty intense too.
It's really cool. When you came out when we were there and you won and you changed and your earrings were back in. Yeah. You were looking. You felt relaxed. You're looking good. You came out. It's like you just feel good for you.
Yeah.
Like when you see you there, it's like, man, that guy just went through a war. He came out the other side and he's smiling. Yeah. You feel good, even though we don't know each other super well. You just feel so good for you. You're like, man, you feel part of it in some tiny way. It's weird,
Yeah, it's good. You can enjoy the rest of the night. Eat some good food.
Yeah, totally.
Put a little weight back on.
What is the so now? What's the, you had a few fights now? Are you going to take a bit of a break? What's going forward for you?
Really depends when our next show is. Like I got a bit of time now between now and our next show. So yeah, during that time, like this week, like usually I take a week off, I might just move around a bit. But after that, because I have a lot of time before my next show, we're just going to just work on things, maybe get like a little bit stronger, just working very specific things now, right? Because we just can't just go into the gym and just do whatever you want. Like now everything's got to be very detailed.
It's nice when we have a bit more time.
How do you manage that? Because how does his strength
back camps? It's tough.
Yeah,
it's cool because he's on weight and he's in shape already, and you just kind of got to maintain it. But it's nice to go back and be like, we're going to focus on building a little more top end strength and power, and we don't have to kill him with stuff like the Ghost, and he doesn't need to do all kinds of crazy conditioning. We can actually focus on his speed, power.
Yeah, because I haven't seen you doing as much strength stuff at the gym before. It's mainly conditioning.
So we do he does trap bar deadlifts with like the band and stuff like that, but we focus on more like power output. He doesn't need to if he was fighting MMA or jiu-jitsu and he needed to pick guys up who are 200 pounds and throw them, it's different than being quick agile and
having that
developing
explosive
power.
type power.
Yeah, so we will work on some like top end strength stuff at the beginning of the camp, and then that it quickly turns into like speed and power training really quickly.
Are you doing other strength and conditioning stuff when you're not at the gym? Outside of the box, like of course when you're sparring and all that type of stuff, working the pads, that's all conditioning, but specific stuff
is road work.
Yeah, just like usually just running.
How much are you running?
Depends. I mean, like, really depends. I guess like how much conditioning we're doing at the same time, but usually a few times a week, like 6-7K.
Yeah,
2
He
times.
has some crazy. Sometimes he shows me. He's like, "Oh yeah, I ran 7K. Look at my time." I'm like, "Jeez, were you sprinting 7K?" Like,
I think in the summer, just before that fight in August, I think one of my the fastest run I think I've ever did, and I wasn't really paying attention. I was going, but I think I did like 6.5K, and I think like per kilometer was like 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
You're like moving.
Yeah, and I was like, "What the hell?" Like,
and he got you were at the doctor. He had an espresso, and then they took his resting heart rate. And what was that at again?
It was like at 40. Like
40 after
coffee.
Espresso.
Yeah.
So like he gets in shape and like real good.
How old are you?
Right now?
Yeah.
29.
Yeah.
So when you started this, you said you wanted, your self-image told you that you wanted a little bit of street cred.
Yeah.
And you wanted to do this to, be a little bit tough. Now you've obviously proven that.
Yeah.
Why do you think you're doing it now?
I think at the same time, it's just like, for me, it's like just proving to myself that I can always just be a better version of myself and just keep going. And I think it's just, I want to be better every day. And, obviously I love boxing, and this is going to, push me really far. If I can go as far as I can with boxing outside of the ring, I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like I can go as far as I want. I can, even if it depend, like if I change careers at some point, like I can definitely I can shoot for the stars. Right. So I think this is really important, and it's definitely, like, I don't know how my life would be like without boxing like now, but I know for a fact that with it, it's definitely changed like my outlook on a lot of things, and it's changed like my work ethic. And
how has your outlook changed?
Just like how, like, just, I mean, like living your life in your own terms kind of thing, right? But I just feel like it's just changed, just like how I see work, and how I kind of put stuff together. Like, okay, like I'm gonna make goals. Like, okay, like next month, I want to sprint, like 100 meters at like 9 seconds, for example, right? So then I'll work towards that goal, right? And I'm doing the same thing on outside of the ring as well, right? Like, like me and my wife, we recently just bought a house in like the craziest time ever, right? But we, like years ago, we kind of just set a goal and kind of work towards it, and then we kind of saw an opportunity last year, and we just kind of went for it, man. Like, I think it's just a lot about planning, and just like, because a lot of things like you're doing, like for like our training camps, you got to plan it and make sure, okay, like, okay, if you're hurt, then we'll take a bit of a step back. But hey, you're feeling good. Okay, maybe we'll push a little bit harder. Or like, okay, we're gonna do this week, and then tomorrow we're gonna do this, and then the week after that, whatever it may be.
I think there's something to be said for when you go through anything, whether it's boxing or whatever, where you discipline yourself. So first of all, the discipline, matters for sure. So that just goes into other areas of your life for sure. But also then when you see that when you put in work, the results come, and the results aren't instantaneous, and they're like, it's over time, you'll get
long
better.
Term.
And then you said earlier when we first started talking something about like, you knew it was going to suck, or embrace the suck, or whatever. And that to get to that goal, there's going to be this work involved, and it's not all going to be easy, and some of it's going to suck, but you kind of progress yourself. And when that goes into other areas of your life, I feel like it just makes a big difference. I know for me, when I started just going to the gym regularly, and I was just doing bodybuilding type gold gym stuff, this was at the end of high school, I guess, beginning of college. And that was a big shift in my life. It just, because my health got a little bit better, because I had started exercising regularly. I realized that there was some gains to be made with some discipline and some work towards it. And I felt like that carried over into other areas of my life where I was lacking or not having the success I wanted. And then when I took those traits and put that into there, it kind of changed everything.
It does, yeah.
I think it matters.
It does matter. I mean, like me particularly, like I don't love, training and whatnot, but I crave the end result.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and if you crave the end result, you'll like all that training, you know, like you'll push by it, you know what I mean? Like you'll get through it. But if you had the, you know, like for myself, like because I crave it so much, like this training, like doesn't matter. Just got to get it done.
If you're waking up at 5 a.m. to drive from St. Catharines,
4:30.
So waking up at 4:30 to drive from St. Catharines to go to the gym to do the Ghost, knowing that's what's in your head, that's what you're going to do. There's nothing good about that. You know, there's no way to convince yourself like, I really want to get out of bed right now to make this drive at 4:30 in the morning to go do the Ghost. But then you're right. Afterwards, it's that feeling afterwards that you just know that it's going to make you feel good, right?
Yeah. Even if it's just like one workout, like after the workout, like, you know, like that's your result. Like you're, you know, that's what you want to feel good, you know? So just anything, like, you know, even if, you know, for example, I don't know, like you're giving a gift to somebody, like, you know, it feels good, you know, like obviously you're spending a bit of money, whatever the case is, but yeah, no, it just feels good. Like that result, like it, you know.
Dan, you've worked with a lot of fighters now. What do you see or notice in JM that's different than some of the other fighters?
You're just sitting here with this weird grin.
What have you noticed about this guy?
I just think it's kind of special.
Why?
It's the mentality. I think it's his composure, to be honest with you. I think if you can maintain composure in the most stressful situations, then that's a killer.
And you've seen that in him because of the way he carries himself pre-fight?
Pre-fight. I've seen people lose their marbles pre-fight. Like they look like they want nothing to do with it.
So they're scared.
They're scared. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He doesn't get like that. And there's a really cool book called Mind Gym. If you ever want to read something on like the mental performance side of any type of sport performance, whatever. And the guy talks about if you're on a spectrum of 0 to 10, and most people kind of hover on the extreme sides of that. And so 10 being like you just get amped and you're like overstimulated and you get that adrenaline rush and dump. 0 being like, so that's like fight and flight. 0 being like you don't want anything to do with it and it's sucking your energy because you're thinking about it. The best athletes in the world have a 5, like 5 to 7. And he just naturally has that.
So cool.
7.
You just let your training take over.
If you're thinking in the ring, like imagine like just to put in a different example.
I just had a vision of me running.
If you were to like do a power clean and you thought about like a million things, well, nothing's gonna happen. It's an absolute disaster. So he just lets it kick in and let it.
Well, it's like what I was telling you the story before we started about how I got punched in the face twice by Claude Patrick.
Yeah,
they punched me in the face. We were sparring. He punched me in the face the first time, and then I was thinking about not letting him punch me in the face with the same hand so much that I remember it vividly, watched in slow motion as that hand came towards me and punched me right in the face all over again.
I'm like, you didn't move.
And I know. And I'm like, that was stupid. Why did I just watch him do that?
That's what that's literally.
Jam, where can people find, you know, is Instagram the best place to follow you?
I would say Instagram right now would be the best place.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's my name, John Michael, John Michael period Bianco. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
On Instagram. And if someone listening wants to help sponsor a local athlete and stuff by following you, will you announce where your next fight is?
Oh, 100%.
So they can reach out to you through Instagram.
I have my email on there as well. So
Okay, awesome. So if anyone there out there is listening that wants to help support local athletes, this is a local athlete that we can all get behind.
Yes, if you want your logo on that sweet gear that comes out every
everybody talks about.
We have a wicked shot of you sent us one that you took with our logo on his shorts while you were punching someone.
Great.
The Rockstar logo.
You don't feel worthy. You see the LaRock and you're accomplishing something great and your little logos there. Like, I don't even know if we feel worthy to be on there, man. But it's cool. It's cool to see. We feel like just honored to see get to sit here and watch you do your thing, man. So
thank you, man.
Yeah, we're really thankful to be able to do this and just watch what you're up to. So Instagram's the best place to find you. And then Dan, Radix Gym.
Yeah, at Radix Gym.
At Radix Gym on Instagram.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything, John Michael, anything else you wanted to share before we kind of wrap up?
No, not. I mean, I think we went over a lot of stuff and we covered a lot of things. But just stay tuned because there's a lot more that's coming out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Rockstar needs to have a VIP table for when he fights for the belt.
Are you?
I thought you were going to say Rockstar needs to have a ring.
We should have a ring.
We'll have a ring.
Your sales rep for the promoters now? Is that the way it works?
You know, Rockstar table.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to wear gold chains and watch their back.
Yeah.
Watch where the exits are. Watch your back and wear a gold chain and support JM.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can find every new episode of the Your Life, Your Terms show on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And if you'd like to get free copies of some of the books that we've put together, like these right here, or some of the reports that we've put together, like these right here, you can find all of those at www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.